Chapter 9 Sacramento, Stockton, Californian ground squirrels, Grass Valley, stage traveling, hydraulic washings, Nevada, Marysville, up the Sacramento River to Red Bluffs, a dangerous bath. March 10th, at San Francisco this morning, a friend took me to see the What Cheer House, a very large hotel supported by gold miners, where they make up to 600 beds, every lodger having a small room to himself with a marble washstand, looking glass, and dressing table. Each story shuts off from the neck by fireproof doors, and the water is forced to the top of the house where there are hoses, fire buckets, and axes enough to fit out a fire brigade. A Lord steam engine is the cook's assistant, doing everything what hands usually do. It kneads the bread, rolls the dough, drives the roasting gear, grinds coffee, peels apples, potatoes, beats the eggs, 1,200 dozen a week, washes, irons, dries, angles the clothes, heats the water for the bathing houses, which are perfect in every detail, does all the pumping and cleans the knives. Adjoining the dining room is a well-selected library, general reading room, and museum, containing a capital collection of stuffed birds and other useful objects of natural history. The rate each miner pays is $5, equal to €1 per week. This includes eating and drinking. The house is strictly a temperance one, no fermented liquor being allowed within it. Wandering about San Francisco would be much more valuable if the hills were less steep and the wind, which is everlastingly blowing, frightened with fine sand that finds its way into your every watch case, could be stilled. March 11th. Steaming across the bay in a white steamer called the Eclipse, propelled by the largest paddle wheels I ever saw, we are en route to Sacramento, which we reached late at night. March 12th. Strolled about, hardly believe so vast a place can have grown up in 10 years. I think I like it better than San Francisco. The streets running east and west are marked by numbers, First Street, Second Street, and so on. Those having a north and south bearing by letter, as A Street and B Street to set and C. Received a telegram from the commissioner, who had just reached San Francisco on his return trip from England to join him. Nothing material occurs in my journal until March 23rd. I am at the Weber House in Stockton, a very pretty city built on what the Americans call the slough, or in other words, a muddy arm of the San Joaquin River. The country round is perfectly flat, but fertile beyond description. To obtain water, the inhabitants have only to bore an auger hole about 9 feet in depth. When it bubbles up like a fountain, and nearly every garden is a tiny windmill employed to irrigate the peach orchard and general crops. Here are 700 mules that have just arrived from Salt Lake City. March 24th. Drive out in a buggy to the mule ranch. The country very bare of timber, but thickly covered with grass. Every hillock I observe is burrowed like a rabbit warren by the Californian ground squirrel. I am told that it is next to impossible to drive out or exterminate these most destructive pests. Entire fields of young wheat are cleared off by them, and as if mowed down. Gardens are invaded, and in years' labor and gain destroyed in a single day. Trapping, shooting, and sticking have failed to accomplish the work of an extinction. Farmers often flood entire districts to drown out the damned cusses. Their habits are strictly diurnal, and pretty lively little fellows they are, scampering off to their holes on the approach of danger, where they sit up on their hind legs peering curiously at the intruder. You may come very near now. There's a safe retreat behind, and he knows it. When too close, however, for safety's sake, the squirrel gives a shrill, defiant whistle like the laugh of a sprite, and dashes into its burrow. Purchased 21 mules at $150 per head. The others were team mules and too large for pack animals. My mules are to remain on the ranch until I have completed my other purchases. March 25th. Crossed in the stage from Stockton to Sacramento, a distance of about 40 miles, through a country fertile in the extreme. Wildflowers, an endless variety of color, decked the grasslands, the hawthorn white with awesome perfumes the air, and the waving green cornfields contrast pleasantly with the foliage of the oak, and chestnuts scattered about in graceful clumps. We change horses at Woodbridge, Puget Ranch, and Elk Grove, and at 4 o'clock pull up at the St. George's Hotel, Sacramento. March 26th. I am again on the road, this time bound to Grass Valley. A clumsy railway with cars or carriages like the yellow caravans, giants, dwarves, and wise pigs travel in. Bumps me out to Folsom, about 30 miles off. Here I am hustled into a stage without a chance of seeing anything but mud, in which the horses are standing knee-deep. The stage is differently from any I have seen. Loops, straps, and other contrivances clearly meant to hold on by evidence and an inequality of motion and tendency to upset that give rise to disagreeable forebodings. Constructed to hold 9 inside, the entire seat, the center seat swings like a bale, dividing horses in a stable, and being somewhat rounded and padded, looked very like it. 5 passengers seat themselves. I have hardly time to look at them when a loud cracking of whips, several voices yelling, "Hi, get up, hi, get along," and a sudden jerk sends me upon the bale. A general splash and scramble, and we are off. We do the first 10 miles with a bearable amount of jolting, and stop to change the horses. The 5 insiders get out, and we take a nip at the roadside house. What would be such if there were any roads? I observe 4 most perverse, obstinate, wild-looking horses being cautiously fastened to the stage. There they are, clearly uneducated wild mustangs, one of the insiders called them. They are held tightly all together, boys, says the driver. They call him Mose. In we scramble, bang slams the door, and with an awful lurch away we go. Now I can understand the suspicious-looking machinery, designed on the principle of life buoys. There's age-tossed travelers to cling to, holding on to these as we swing along as hard as the beasts can gallop. I am told by a fellow passenger that unless the mustangs start at a gallop, they either upset the stage or kick themselves clear of the harness. On this journey, they are agreeable enough to gallop off, so we escape the 2 contingencies. Several times, Mose Hayes shouted, "Get out, boys, and hang on a while." I discover that this means that we are to cling to the side of the stage, and that our untied weight may prevent its capsizing. When going along the side of a slope like the slant of a housetop, near dark, we are requested by Mose to head up to the last hill. A tall, hollow man with a face hollow and sunken, closely shaven, except a tuft at the chin, steps along with me, and we reach the top of the hill. A good time before the stage, we are standing amidst some scrubby timber. The long shadows of the trees are swallowed up by the gathering gloom. The music of the horse has died away, and save the wind sighing through the leafy foliage, everything is still. My companion draws nearer. "Stranger," he began, in a voice that appeared to come from his boots and get out at his nose. "Just where we are standing here 3 weeks gone, a tarnation big grizzly come slick upon 2 men, just waiting for the stage, as we are. Shot up one, and would have gone for the other, but he made tall traveling for the stage. When they came up Ephraim had skedaddled, and they never seen him or old Buckeye either. This is refreshing. I hope if old Ephraim does come, he may eat my tongue companion. The stage came, but the bear did not. We reached our destination at 8 p.m. How sore I am.